Hey, good morning. My name is Samantha Mirabal. I'm with Melco's application team doing our Design Shop talk today. We're supposed to be live on both Facebook and YouTube, and my thing says it's working on YouTube, but when I go to YouTube, I don't see it. So I don't know. Oh, there it is. It looks like it was just slow. Awesome. Okay. Well, good morning, Lorena. Thanks for joining today. And every week. Awesome. Okay, so there's Facebook and there's YouTube. So I guess it was just a delay. And my audio is on, so we are good. So if you have questions while we're live, please type them in the chat. Don't send them privately. I don't see that sort of thing. I've got a separate monitor set up over here, and that's where I kind of look over when you see me staring off into space. That's what I'm looking at, is trying to read through the comments and see if I've missed anything. I have all of 2 questions, and one of them has nothing to do with DesignShop, and the other is like a 1-minute answer. So if you have questions, start thinking about them and typing them in now in the comments. All right, or in the chats. Okay, so let me go ahead and pop right in. So one of them was, how did I be able to get to where I am now, to be able to what I do, becoming a certified technician and all of that. So, goodness. I started with one machine and then within a few months bought a second one and kind of kept on building up. I've got 16 of them out there now. So when I had one machine, I did something stupid and took it down. You know how you can knock the heads off machines? Yeah. So that was, user error. And it took, with one machine, that was kind of detrimental for me. So I decided at that point, I wanted to eventually learn how to fix it myself. Melco does a technical training class. I don't know how many times a year they do them. There's a link in the comments for you. But essentially, took 2 weeks, flew up to Denver, and after I had been using the equipment a while, so I knew how to use them really well. So then it was, all right, now let's go learn how to fix them. And went to the technical training class. It was 2 weeks out in Westminster, and we took the machines down to nothing. Like, we took them all apart and put them all back together, got to learn how to do all the stuff no one ever wants to think about doing with their machines, z-axis timing and all these things that are, I find to be a lot of fun. Most people are like, you did what? So anyway, that's pretty much it. Took the technical training class, and I sew a lot. So just between that, having embroidered a ton, so you learn that way, and then taking the class, it was, a ton of fun. So, I know some people go to become a certified tech, others go just to learn how to use it and be able to fix their own stuff, which all of that's cool. So I'm a big fan of just learning info to learn info. So anyway, check it out. Now I'm curious. Yes. So yeah, there's the link where and basically email to get it. So, they have a 5-day class now. That's cool. All right. Anyway, I did the 2-week class. How do you reset the center of a legacy design? Okay, so with any design, when you are trying to set the center, so let me go find a design. On my C drive, designs, legacy. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Any design, right? So any of these, when the center is literally where those red lines are intersecting, and what that is right there, that origin. Okay, so that is going to be the center of your design. So if you have this stuck over some of them will have it like open this quadrant over here. I'm just moving it. So let's say it's like that, and you go to center it on the hoop and it's not centered. Well, that's because the design itself is not centered within here. So literally all you have to do is open it in DesignShop, and right here, click on the center design, and it will recenter it. If you have one of those random weird stitches out in the middle of nowhere, because it's an EXP or DST converted from somewhere, for instance, yeah, see these dashed lines? So let's say your design was over here and there's a dashed line that runs over into some space over here. All you would need to do is, I'm trying to find one of them. Of course, I turned them all off. Where are you? There they are. So you can go find, like, you can find the stitch if you can actually locate it, and you can select it and hit the delete button. Okay, so you can also delete them if you've got a random stitch out there. Yes, Sue, if you caught me, if you asked a question before I saw it, yeah, go ahead and type it in and I will get it. So yeah, Sue, copy and paste it over in this chat and I'll see it. All right, so yeah, that's all there is to it, is you just come up here and center the design and poof, all better. Lorena, you had a design, or a question. What's the best way to attach a panel to the back of a plaid shirt? To attach a panel? Like you're sewing some fabric on it, or you're embroidering something onto the back of a shirt? So plaid's kind of heavy. I would use like a 3-ounce cutaway. That's just because I love that stuff. So I'd use a 3-ounce cutaway and hoop it and sew it. And from there, you know, depending on the customer, like the 3-ounce, especially that super hefty cutaway, it's when you wash it, it gets real fuzzy and nice and soft. So sewing a fabric design. You talking about applique? So putting an applique onto the back of it, of a plaid design? Is Lorena? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand. All right. While you're typing that, just so I know what I'm actually answering for you, let me scroll back through the questions. How do you change stitch direction? Oh, let's see, Lorraine. Like a logo off a t-shirt. Oh, you're talking about taking something off a t-shirt and sewing, like, and using that as an applique on a shirt? Maybe? Lorena, sorry, I'm just not understanding the question, so it's hard for me to answer without sounding silly. Okay, so what you're talking, all right, so the question is, if I've got a t-shirt with a logo or something like that, and I want to treat that like an applique, and so I assume like a patch on a shirt. So in that case, I would use a few, I tend to like stabilizing that a little bit better, because t-shirt material, especially compared to a flannels don't really stretch usually, and t-shirt material is real stretchy. So I would get like a fusible mesh. Like there's a Weblon mesh that's fusible. So I would probably use that, or they have a Pellon at Joann that is fusible. So I would probably heat press that onto the back of the shirt so that now it's nice and stable. And now I've got, you know, something pseudo rigid that will hold up well and not stretch around while I'm trying to sew it onto my other garment. So from there, what I would do is whatever shape it's going to be. So let's pretend this is, no, I don't like that. Same design, but let's pretend this is going to be my logo. So you need to do some creative measuring if it's going to be a circle, a rectangle, or something like that. This one's a circle, right? So with the design sizing in there, you would design your patch, right? So let's say that's my circle, copy paste, give it another color, copy paste, control, click on that to turn it into a satin stitch. That's a tackle. And a 35, I don't know, 33, 35, somewhere in there. And then copy paste, change that back from a tackle to a satin and make it something wider. Okay, so I did that all with this design in here. You're taking it from a t-shirt and you're going to sew it onto something else. So what I would do now is delete the actual design, or if I drew a vector in there for it, which leaves me with what I actually need. So I would hoop my garment, so your plaid shirt, and sew this first circle down. So then you get the t-shirt logo that you want, and you would use spray adhesive. And like I said, I personally would stabilize it with a fusible. Yeah, there is a Weblon fusible one. There is a Pellon that's fusible. All of those are really thin, and you just iron them on. They work really well. I use a heat press. If if you don't want to go that route, you can always use spray adhesive and a tearaway, and that will give you a similar effect of just holding it still. But as it washes, the tearaway will kind of disintegrate, so it probably would be better to, even in that case, to use a like a Weblon with spray adhesive, because then at least it's not going to disintegrate between the layers. But yeah, the fusible is how I would do it. So yeah, you do your placement stitch, take your shirt, you know, kind of eyeball it, spray it down. So the second one, cut it out, do your tackle stitch to make sure it's still where you want it, and then your satin stitch over top, and now you've got your patch sewn down. And in here would just be the logo from another item. Good morning. Okay, so I'm scrolling back up to the top of the questions. How do you change stitch direction or thread color of the crossbar on an A? Okay, so the letter A. It really depends on how it was digitized. All right, so what can, oops, let me go zoom in on this guy. All right, so if I right click on this, I can go wireframe editing. That allows me to change the wireframe, and notice how this one was digitized as a column 2. So the stitch direction is actually being governed by the wireframe itself, by the 2 points. So when it gets here, the stitches are there. When it gets here, the stitches are that way. So if I angle these, notice it's going to be twisting the stitches so that by the time it gets to that stitch line, it's there. So I can add points here if I want to do silly stuff. Not that you want to do that, but I can, right? So you can, that's, if it's a column 1, there'll be stitch directions things there. But this particular letter is done with that one as a column 2. So you just modify it until it looks like what you want it to look like. Okay. Can I change the color in here? I don't know. No, it changes the whole thing. All right, so if you want to change the color of that now that I modified it, I would go into only do this after you're done with whatever you're doing. So all the properties and whatnot as lettering, because once you do this, you're not going to be able to modify it as a letter anymore. You'll have to do all individual modifying. So I can say convert to wireframe, and now I can take that guy and I can do whatever I want with it. Okay? So you can change the color of it then. So it really depends on what you're trying to do, whether you need to change the colors or if you're going to just modify the wireframe yourself. Does that help you, Alberto? Okay. Sue asks, I have a design that was doing 2 or 3 random stitches. Yeah, Sue, I covered that last week. So if you go back to last week's video, that was the first thing I did. So where we went and selected the stitches and deleted it. So what that is, I'll show you. I'm going to force it in here. So this isn't actually what you're seeing, but I'm going to force the issue. Okay. So what you're actually seeing is this. So if I put that up here and I change this over to a jump stitch. What is going on? Oh. Yeah, I did cover that last week, just kind of an FYI. But I can actually program in a jump. So I'm going to force it. There. So, here we go. What you're seeing is where it takes a stitch over here, 1 or 2, and then it jumps. It's usually a conversion error with whoever digitized that for you is why it's creating that. So all you would need to do is go find those individual stitches and delete it. So how you find them is you come over here in the stitch view and there'll be these jumps. So then you can select it and hit delete and delete the stitches, right? So I've got a whole bunch of jumps in here. So I can select all those and hit delete. Well, in this case, I digitized it that way. So I'm just going to delete it here. But what you'll see is it's an expanded view. So you'll just turn on this expanded view, find that random stitch, which let's just pretend that's it, and you'd hit delete and it will delete it for you. All right. So I actually pulled up an example that had one of those and showed you how to find it. So yeah, in the comments, there is a link to the an archive of the DesignShop talks. So if you click on that, you can actually get a direct link to last week's video. So you can watch it for sure. But that's what I just kind of showed you how it was done. Kreitza, Texas, welcome. Are you going to the trade show? That's, I think, isn't Fort Worth coming up soon? All right, let's see what else. I'm scrolling back up because there was questions I skipped by accident. So let's see. We did that one. Lorena, I did that. All right, if you have a running stitch from one item to another in your design, is it possible to insert a trim on? Yeah, to stop it. Okay, so if I've got a running stitch, okay, oops, I just did that as a jump. Let me change that. All right, Mike, correct me if this is not what you want. So I've got a running stitch. Is it possible to enter a trim on this line? So I assume what you're asking is somewhere on this line, I want to put a trim. Okay, so if it's a wireframe, all you would do is click the point you want right here, and you would insert trim right there. That, oops, sorry, not insert trim. You got a split element right here. Select the point, click on split element as selected point. Now you've got two, and now you can take that trim and put it between the two. So it'll have that, it'll do a trim, and then it will do this. Mike, does that answer? So you split the element, and once it's split, you can put the trim in there. Is that what you're wanting to do, or are you wanting to do it with an expanded file? Because an expanded file, what you would do is, rather than splitting the element, you would find the stitch that you want to split it at, let's say right there, and then you would insert trim. That's why I went there first. If you're working with expanded, you insert trim, and it will actually split it, and you can move the trim up. If it's a wireframe, you, oops, get out of this mode. Oh my gosh, there we go. You select the point and then click split element at selected points. And now you can add the trims between those different things. And it's one line. Well, it was, now it's three, but you get the idea. All right, Mike, that help? Let's see, I'm scrolling back up because there were some others, I think. Talked about those. Sherry, thanks for joining. And Sue and Alberto. Okay, so those were all the questions that I had, I think. Let's see. Yeah, because we did that. So what other questions before I call it a day? Like I said, I didn't get a ton typed in ahead of time. So is someone messaging me on feed? Okay. I don't see any. Okay. Well, any other questions? Otherwise, I will be back next, when will I be back? Next Thursday. So we will do this again next Thursday. If you have questions ahead of time, I try to pose. Oh, hey, I forgot to mention. If you haven't checked out the little teaser, they posted it, so I'm going to show it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I wanted to show you. If you haven't seen it, check it out. So, on Melco's Facebook channel, of course I'm live, so don't do that. Check out their latest video. They actually are showing out the new product that's coming out. So, that's going to be fun. I have one in there, so I'll show it later. I can't show it yet, but I'll show it. All right, tip of the day. Oh, let's see. That's a fun one. What do I want to show today? I don't know. I like everything. So let's see. Oh, let me show you these. So for any of the shapes, you can use the walk or the rectangles or the single lines. So any of those. This works the same way. I'll do a single line. You can click on this button. If you hold it down, notice there's choices. I've got a rounded corner or I've got a beveled rectangle. So if I do the beveled rectangle, I can click and drag. So I can really easily create that shape, or I can hold this guy down, go to the curve, left click, and drag, and I can get nice, even, rounded corners. So that's great. We are trying to think. Make sure, I don't know, what type of tips do you want? I'll start thinking about that. and try to get a list of tips of the day. And I'll do that. That's a fun idea. I like it. But here, use the new tools. Those are fun. I use them a lot. Any other questions? I like the idea of a tip of the day. I'll try to come up with a list and mention something every week. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think I will call it a day. Next Thursday I'll be back. Be sure to check out the new machine coming out, I think next week, so that'll be cool. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll be back next Thursday. Until then, have fun. I know there's a trade show coming up, Fort Worth, I think. That's next week, I believe. So if you're going, have fun. I wish I was going. I'm not. I can't leave here. All right, y'all. I will talk to you next week. Have a fantastic weekend and have some fun sewing. Let me know what you guys want to learn, and I'll try to get that work done. Bye, everyone.